The year was 1944, and the world was engulfed in the flames of World War II. In the cold, muddy trenches of France, Sergeant Daniel Carter wiped the sweat and grime from his brow, gripping his rifle as the distant sound of artillery fire rumbled through the night. He had seen too much death, too much destruction. And yet, here he was, preparing for another battle. Daniel had enlisted in the U.S. Army after the attack on Pearl Harbor. He had no illusions about the glory of war, only a sense of duty. His squad, the 2nd Infantry Division, had fought their way through the beaches of Normandy and the dense hedgerows of France. Now, they were advancing toward the strategic town of Saint-Lô, where the German forces were digging in for a brutal fight. "Carter, stay sharp," whispered Lieutenant James Harris, his best friend since boot camp. "Intel says they've got snipers and machine gun nests all over this place." Daniel nodded, his grip tightening on his rifle. The night was eerily quiet, save for the distant echoes of war. It was the kind of silence that made his skin crawl. At dawn, the assault began. The air exploded with gunfire as the American troops charged forward. Mortars rained down, shattering trees and sending dirt flying. Daniel sprinted through the chaos, diving into cover behind a wrecked tank. Bullets whizzed past as he fired back, his heart pounding. "We need to take out that MG-42, Harris shouted, pointing to a German machine gun nest pinning them down. Daniel saw the gun emplacement on a hill, its barrels spitting fire. His squad mates were getting cut down and they had to act fast. Taking a deep breath, he signaled to his men and moved forward under the cover of suppressing fire. Explosions rocked the battlefield as Daniel flanked the enemy position. Crawling through the mud, he reached for a grenade, pulled the pin, and lobbed it toward the nest. A deafening blast followed, and the gunfire ceased. "Go! Go!" Harris yelled as the squad advanced. As they pushed forward, Daniel spotted something that made him freeze, a wounded German soldier, barely 19, clutching his side and gasping for breath. The boy looked up at him, fear and pain in his eyes. Daniel hesitated. He had been trained to see the enemy as just that, an enemy. But in that moment, he saw a frightened kid, not much younger than himself when he had first enlisted. Harris ran up beside him. "Carter, what are you doing? Let's move." Daniel clenched his jaw, then slung his rifle over his shoulder. "We're taking him with us." Harris looked at him like he was crazy, but nodded. Together, they hoisted the German onto their shoulders and carried him back to their lines. The medics took over, and Daniel saw the relief in the boy's eyes before he was rushed away. That night, as Daniel sat by the campfire, Harris nudged him. You might have just saved a life that could have taken yours tomorrow." Daniel exhaled, staring into the flames. "Maybe that's the point. Maybe if we start seeing each other as human, this war won't last forever." The next morning, Saint-Lô fell to the Allies. The battle was won, but Daniel knew that war didn't end with a single victory. Still, he held on to the hope that amidst the chaos, even small acts of mercy could pave the way to something better. As the sun rose over the battlefield, he resolved to fight not just for victory, but for the kind of world where such battles would never have to be fought again.